budgeting for the next couple of years, where council is considering cutting on day 3 of budget deliberations. The province sees a rise in fatal crashes. What's behind a troubling trend on Saskatchewan roadways? And a Saskatoon business and its worldwide award-winning whiskey.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. We begin again at City Hall, where council made its way through more than 100 ways to reduce a property tax increase for the next 2 years. Keenan Sorokon on day 3 of budget deliberations.
These are some uncomfortable topics to talk about. So I know they're difficult for council, they're difficult for the administration.
Saskatoon City Council continued to work through its big list, combing through 108 ways to increase revenue/expenses and ultimately lower an incoming property tax increase. Bus fares will be going up. After remaining static for the last decade, low-income earners will see no change, while students will see as high as an 11% rise, similar to many other categories. An adult annual pass will now cost more than $1,000, with fares increasing in 2027 as well.
Unfortunately, the gist of the 5 recommendations before you is simply to maintain the current fare structure.
Clipperton wasn't pleased with administration deciding on the sweeping changes after 2 months of work with limited engagement.
The process was far too condensed, and so we'd like to see things other than just a simple here's a 25-cent increase in the fare.
Golf course fees will also be rising, with city courses providing a return on investment going forward, and getting kids signed up for swimming lessons might be easier. Starting in 2027, out-of-towners will need to spend more to learn to swim in Saskatoon. There was also a number of items council wouldn't go near. Outdoor pools will stay open as usual, with prices remaining the same, and the 60-year-old George Ward pool will stay open, but the city says it's due for a replacement in 5 years. Water rates are going up another 5% outside of property taxes, and council argued back and forth, but ultimately decided not to charge for people needing repeated lift assists from the fire department as they reviewed the program.
It feels super icky, and I think the public expects us to do this as part of our job.
Council also worked through a number of items in its capital reserve fund to decide which projects will receive funding over the next 2 years. Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
One of the decisions made during budget deliberations to keep funding a detox center, even though some councillors admitted they didn't know it existed, and it's run by the provincial government. CTV's Laura Woodward has that story.
And that carries unanimously.
The city voting to slash funding for a detox center, a facility that some councillors didn't know existed.
I believe it's located in Pleasant Hill.
I'm sorry, what do you mean you believe?
Address.
Mr. Roberts, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It just doesn't sound like we know where this money's going.
Councillors learned the detox center is on Avenue O South and has been receiving city funding since 1997. Councillors also learned the city's $108,000 grant actually goes to the provincial government, which operates the facility.
This feels to me like something that is very, very exclusively in their lane for the health authority and the provincial government, and I'm not even sure why we would have been providing this grant in the first place.
Councillors voted to cut the grant to the detox center in half by next year and eliminate it entirely by 2027.
Back in the early 2000s, working in my previous role in EMS.
Councillor Troy Davies, who previously worked as a paramedic, says the center was once a critical alternative to the ER or a jail cell. But he says things have changed, pointing to this facility on Idlewild Drive North, which serves as a detox center and holding site. So why not scrap the funding immediately?
I think it's just good stewarding to go back to them saying this is something that council no longer wants to support and put those dollars elsewhere.
Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Jeff, another foggy start to the day.
A foggy start to the day, leading some beautiful trees. We'll see some pictures later on, but yes, some rime ice on many things, not just trees, but other structures as well. We are going to be seeing more in the way of snow. Not a lot of snow, but we have a couple of impulses. One moving through southern Saskatchewan, the southwestern part of the province. We'll probably see most of the snow in that respect. And then a little something sliding through some places. May see a little over 5 centimeters of snow. Some places just about 2 centimeters of snow. But we'll talk about that and the cold temperatures later on.
A former Saskatoon police officer charged with assault has had his matters rescheduled until next month. Dylan Kemp was charged with assault following an investigation by the Saskatchewan Serious Incident Response Team. The agency began the investigation after it was notified by the Saskatoon Police Service in September of 2024 regarding an alleged off-duty incident involving several officers. After reviewing evidence and interviewing witnesses, Kemp was arrested on October 30th. He was scheduled to appear in court today, but his matter was moved to December 16th. A man accused of fatally shooting a woman who was riding in a vehicle on a highway near Weyburn has been denied bail. Chris Fallman is accused of second-degree murder in the death of Tanya Myers. Myers was a passenger in a vehicle traveling along Highway 39 near Weyburn on September 12th when she was shot. The bail decision was released yesterday following a 2-day hearing last week. The details of the hearing are under a publication ban. Fallman is due back in court December 9th. A 16-year-old girl is dead after being shot in Prince Albert this morning. Police and paramedics were called just before 8:30 this morning to a home in the 900 block of 12th Street West. There, they found the teen suffering from life-threatening injuries. She was pronounced dead at the scene. A 17-year-old boy was arrested inside the home. There is no word on whether he is facing charges. RCMP have released more information about a fatal crash south of Prince Albert earlier this week. It happened at about 6 o'clock Tuesday evening on Highway 3, about 5 kilometers south of PA. RCMP say a van and an SUV collided, and then the van hit a third vehicle. The driver of the van, a 67-year-old man from Prince Albert, died at the scene. The driver of the SUV was not injured. The driver of the third vehicle was taken to hospital with serious injuries. There was no word on what contributed to the crash. Tuesday's fatal collision is one of several on Saskatchewan roadways recently. Sierra D'Souza Butts reports on the troubling trend.
In the last 8 days, there have been 8 fatal collisions in Saskatchewan.
Obviously, the impact of when someone loses their life on Saskatchewan roadways is affects more than that one person.
From January 1st to November 25th, Mounties have responded to 89 fatal motor vehicle collisions, resulting in the deaths of 94 people on Saskatchewan roads, 11 of those taking place this month alone. RCMP say the main causes of the collisions are people not wearing their seatbelts, distracted driving, speeding, and impaired driving. People not wearing their helmets on ATVs and snowmobiles are a contributing factor as well.
It's a concern to us as police. We're here for traffic safety, and we're trying to be out as being much as visible as we can. Again, like I said, to when people see the police on the road, people's behavior changes. So that's why we're out on the roads right now.
With the holiday season soon approaching and weather conditions expected to become worse, CAA reminds people how important road safety is.
What we tell people to do is plan ahead. Make sure you check out the weather forecast, check out the highway hotline, make sure your vehicle isn't covered in snow, make sure you have a backup plan as far as roadside assistance, make sure you have that emergency kit. Make sure that you're prepared for any type of weather so you have that peace of mind.
With majority of fatal motor vehicle collisions being preventative, the RCMP says it will continue to repeat its safety messages, asking the public to do the same.
When you're on the road, be safe. There's other users of the road. Remember that as well. Wear your seatbelt. Don't drive under the influence. Don't speed. And don't drive while distracted.
Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
And a 43-year-old man who was riding a snowmobile on Pine House Lake in northern Saskatchewan has died. RCMP say he was fatally injured when the snowmobile hit a reef. He was the only person on the craft at the time. A deal between Alberta and the federal government that would see a pipeline built to the West Coast is getting positive reviews from Saskatchewan leaders. As Wayne Mantika reports, Premier Scott Moe says parts of the agreement will impact where and how Saskatchewan's energy is exported.
The Prime Minister and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith signed a memorandum of understanding committing them to working together on building a pipeline to the West Coast.
At the core of the agreement, of course, is a priority to have a pipeline to Asia. That's going to make Canada stronger, more independent.
The two agreed that Ottawa would enable the export of oil through a West Coast port to Asian markets and adjust a tanker ban if necessary.
We have been working for some time on addressing the 9 bad laws, as I like to call them, that have been impacting our investment climate here, and I'm pleased that we've reached an agreement.
The Memorandum of Understanding could impact other oil-producing provinces like Saskatchewan.
We are a significant oil-producing province as well. There's a number of pieces in this Memorandum of Understanding that are going to impact how and where our energy goes in Saskatchewan as well.
Currently, there is no private sector proposal to build the pipeline, but the agreement could make it easier to attract the necessary investment.
Does provide now the first step in an opportunity to build a significant piece of transmission infrastructure that would provide not only wealth for Canadians and Canadian families, but provide energy security for places like India and other Asian markets.
Saskatchewan's NDP opposition calls the agreement good news and hopes that Saskatchewan will get something next.
I want to see Saskatchewan on the list. I want to see announcements about infrastructure in this province.
Saskatchewan is optimistic. The province says the tone of conversation and the collaboration with Ottawa is better than it has been in a decade. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
The provincial and federal governments are expected to make a formal announcement about an extension of their $10 a day childcare agreement tomorrow. The Premier announced in question period this week the province was planning to announce an extension to the agreement by the end of the week. Education Minister Everett Hindley said that negotiations were partially held up by cabinet changes in the federal government following the April election and because there were certain aspects the province wanted to renegotiate.
Because we were hearing from families and from childcare operators that while they appreciated affordable, sustainable childcare, that there were also some things there that weren't working for them. So we wanted to negotiate that with the federal government. Well, for example, as I've indicated, one of them is the inclusion of kids once they turn the age of 6 and essentially kind of aging out of the program. We'll talk more on Friday about what's in the deal.
Tomorrow's announcement is set to take place at a Regina daycare. As Saskatoon struggles with overdoses, Regina is reporting 3 deaths within 24 hours. The Saskatchewan Coroner Service, Regina Police, and Regina Fire say the deaths are suspected to be caused by illegal drugs, possibly sold as fentanyl or gabapentin. Naloxone can counter the effects of opioids, but not other substances. First responders have attended more than 100 suspected overdoses in Regina in November alone. Saskatoon has also been dealing with dozens of overdoses over the last few weeks. A Saskatoon distillery has been named Worldwide Whiskey Producer of the Year. As CTV's Stacey Hine tells us, Saskatchewan's extreme weather is proving to be a key ingredient in that success.
John Cote brushes off fresh snow before tapping into a whiskey barrel. Keeping barrels outside in Saskatchewan's extreme weather is far from industry standard, but that unusual approach stood out to judges at the International Wine and Spirits Competition, earning this family-run operation the title of Worldwide Whiskey Producer of the Year.
They were very surprised and impressed with the idea of storing our whiskey outdoors, because that is totally unheard of in the whiskey industry.
That signature technique began by accident when Cote and his wife Barb first started Black Fox Farm and Distillery a decade ago. They had no choice but to leave the barrels outside.
We couldn't afford to build a building. It sits outside, and then all of a sudden it's like
oh my goodness, this actually works. And so why would you ever change it?
Cote says the barrels expand and contract with Saskatchewan's heat and cold, creating pressure changes that shape the flavor of the whiskey.
It's absolutely wonderful. It's almost like the barrels are alive and breathing.
Judges also praised the distillery's crop to connoisseur philosophy, with about 95% of their grains grown right on their farm. The owners say the award is also a win for the province.
It's a Saskatchewan award because our whiskey can only be made here because of the grains that we grow and our weather.
Saskatchewan is known for growing some of the best grains in the world for other purposes, and we should be able to make very good whiskey, and this proves that we can.
And while the award has boosted sales, they say the most heartwarming part is sharing their whiskey with the world. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Saskatchewan Polytechnic got a big boost to advance the province's energy sector and the workforce that powers it. Strathcona Resources is committing $1 million in Sask Polytech's Time to Rise campaign in support of the new Joseph A. Ramey campus. The donation will help create modern learning environments and access to technologies that prepare grads for careers in the energy sector. In honor of the gift, Sask Polytech says 2 power engineering technology classrooms at the new campus will be named the Strathcona Resources Power Engineering Technology Classroom.
So I'm definitely thrilled actually to be standing alongside Sask Polytech today so that we can actually help ensure that that new generation of workers has the opportunity to build those skills, get the experience, and build the confidence that it takes to enter into this industry.
This was Strathcona Resources' first contribution to Sask Poly, and the company says it reflects the commitment to Saskatchewan's energy sector. And a quick reminder, the deadline to nominate someone for the CTV Saskatoon Citizen of the Year is fast approaching. The Citizen of the Year award is given each year to an individual who exemplifies excellence in community service and is making a difference in our community. If you'd like more information on how to nominate someone, guides are available here at CTV Saskatoon. They're also on our website. The deadline to submit your nomination is Friday, December 5th, and we will announce this year's recipient on December 31st. Still to come, paving the way for a pipeline from Alberta to BC. We hear from the affected parties. Also, a possible political motive for yesterday's shooting of 2 National Guards. You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us tonight. Back to the pipeline deal between Ottawa and Alberta that paves the way for a pipeline to BC. It's a major energy deal that lays out the groundwork but leaves lots of unanswered questions. Former federal Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault, the one-time climate activist, resigned from his current role as Minister of Culture today, citing concerns about the potential environmental impacts. As Mike Lukacher reports, he's not the only one not on board.
Danielle Smith's excitement could not be contained. Alberta isn't getting a bitumen pipeline yet, but it is one step closer.
This agreement includes a clear path to the construction of an over 1 million barrel per day Indigenous co-owned bitumen pipeline to Asian markets.
If everything goes smoothly, senior government officials say construction could start in 2029. But there's one important caveat.
If there's not a private sector component, there won't be a pipeline.
That's just one of the conditions as laid out in the agreement, as is Indigenous co-ownership and collaboration with BC to share the benefits. There has to be a new carbon pricing agreement, and the Pathways Carbon Capture project must move forward for the pipeline to do the same.
I don't know that the Prime Minister would have agreed to a new bitumen pipeline without Pathways, and we wouldn't have agreed to Pathways without a new bitumen pipeline.
The carbon storage program is key to Canada meeting its commitment of achieving net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. The federal Conservatives are criticizing the process, saying the Prime Minister could push this ahead using existing legislation.
we even supported him, gives him the power to approve it. So we only need him to do one thing for this pipeline to happen. Get out of the way.
A pipeline would go through BC, but that province wasn't part of this deal. And the Bloc Québécois says it's a dangerous precedent.
The federal government making a deal in order to backstab a province and its jurisdiction.
Alberta has until July 1st to submit a pipeline project application to the new Major Projects Office. If all conditions are met, then the federal government will make an exemption to the oil tanker ban on the BC coast. Mike Lecoulteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
The Trump administration is promising to crack down on Afghan immigrants after authorities identified the suspect in yesterday's mass shooting as an Afghan asylum seeker. 2 National Guards were seriously injured in the attack, and a short time ago, U.S. President Donald Trump reported one of the guards has died. Judy Trin on the new plan of action and the possible political motivation of the suspect.
2 National Guards are clinging to life in hospital. 20-year-old Sarah Beckstrom and 24-year-old Andrew Wolf, shot just blocks from the White House.
2 families are shattered and destroyed and torn apart as a result of the actions of one man.
The suspect was also shot, taken down by other soldiers. Officials say Ramanallah Lakhanwal, a 29-year-old Afghan national, drove across the country from his home in Washington State, where he lived with his wife and 5 children.
There is confirmation now that the subject had a relationship in Afghanistan with partner forces. We are fully investigating that aspect of his background as well, to include any known associates that are either overseas or here in the United States of America.
Lakhanwal's relationship was with the CIA, trained and equipped by American operatives to fight against the Taliban. He was among the thousands of people American forces evacuated from Afghanistan after the U.S. military hastily withdrew from the war-torn country under former President Joe Biden. Lakhanwal was officially granted asylum earlier this year. Following the shooting, the U.S. announced that immigration requests of Afghan nationals would be stopped indefinitely, pending a review of security vetting.
As President of the United States, I am determined to ensure that the animal who perpetrated this atrocity pays the steepest possible price.
Lakhanwal has been currently charged with multiple counts of assault with intent to kill. Donald Trump says he wants to pursue the death penalty if necessary. He calls these crimes an act of terror. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
The death toll following a massive blaze at a Hong Kong apartment building has risen. 83 people have now died, with hundreds considered missing and many others displaced. Search and rescue operations are still ongoing following what was Hong Kong's worst fire in 80 years. Investigators have arrested 3 construction company executives on suspicion of manslaughter and negligence for allegedly using unsafe materials that may have fueled the fire. At least 69 people have been killed and thousands displaced after a tropical cyclone unleashed floods in Indonesia. On the island of Sumatra, the powerful floodwaters caused power outages and damaged roads and bridges, hampering rescue efforts. Earlier this week, powerful floods and heavy rain in Thailand and Malaysia left dozens of people dead. And today, Sri Lankan officials stopped passenger trains and closed roads in parts of the country where landslides and floods have been triggered by heavy rains. At least 40 people have lost their lives, most of them in the mountainous tea-growing areas in the center of the island. At least 21 others are missing, with several more injured. Russian President Vladimir Putin weighed in today on U.S. efforts to broker a peace deal aimed at halting his country's invasion of Ukraine.
Войска Украины уйдут.
Speaking in Kyrgyzstan, Putin said U.S. proposals to end the war could serve as a starting point for negotiations. He also issued a new threat to Ukrainian troops, saying they must leave the areas Russia has claimed for itself. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says peace will depend on conditions set by the rest of the world and not Russian threats or ultimatums. Ukraine and Europe have shared their own ceasefire proposals, saying the original U.S. one favored Moscow. For the first time in about 2 years, people in Gaza are able to buy new mobile phones. There were long lines at stores in the Palestinian territory today. Israel had blocked the entry of the devices in late 2023 as it announced a siege of Gaza soon after Hamas's October 7th attacks. The cell phone import ban was lifted as both Hamas and Israel have accused each other of violations of their shaky ceasefire, and as many Gazans try to endure the winter in ruins of their home.
Hey guys, Stephen McGuire here. Well, hope you can join me on November 28th. Doors open 6:15, show at 7 o'clock, a concert for the unhoused, a Good Shepherd Church on McCurcher in Saskatoon, being joined by some of Saskatoon's finest musicians. Your price of admission, a warm item of clothing, anything that can be used in these winter months. So what's the weather going to be like, Jeff?
Well, Stephen, it looks like we have a little bit of snow in place for tomorrow, but the good news is you'll be inside nice and warm, thinking about and trying to help those people who may not have the warmth throughout these winter season as we go through. So yes, a concert for the unhoused at Good Shepherd Lutheran. We'll talk about that in a second or two, but just a reminder that tomorrow 7 o'clock is when showtime is. Tomorrow's daytime high -8 degrees, so by the time we get to 7 o'clock, probably closer to about -10. We don't expect it to be really windy, and by the we get it tomorrow, I think that flurries may be done by showtime. But once again, it's happening at Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, and that is on McCurcher. And now on to our numbers for the current situation. We've got -8 degrees in Saskatoon and Prince Albert. A bit of flurry activity in the Battlefords, -10 degrees. And as you can see, the wind is a little stronger in the Battlefords and Saskatoon as compared to Prince Albert. Saskatoon's almanac, well, look at this, -7 degrees, still just a little bit below seasonal. Typically, we should be around -5 this time of late November. 8 is the record warm temperature from 2011, and -33 the record cold temperature on this day from 1985. The sun came up at 8:47, and it went down at 5:01.
Coming up, Jeff takes a check on your entertainment options, and later, how one American couple managed to stay afloat in a sink or swim scenario.
The Grey Cup is making the rounds, and in the morning it'll be right here in studio. Head coach Corey Mace bringing Canadian football's biggest prize by. Don't miss it.
All righty, Grey Cup fever lingers, and let's take a look and see what else is lingering. Yeah, the foggy conditions, so we've certainly had some mist in the air, and a lovely shot, though, of the South Saskatchewan. Great shot of the traffic bridge, the Victoria Bridge, and we can tell you that we are anticipating a little bit of snow, not a lot of snow, but also cold temperatures. So let's take a look and see where we are with our satellite radar shot here. This area of active weather really impacting parts of southern British Columbia and Vancouver Island, making its way through the Pacific Northwest, through the Panhandle of Idaho, and ultimately into Montana. That will be making its way into Saskatchewan, the southwest, and there's also a small impulse that's coming through parts of central Saskatchewan and northern areas that might add up to a little bit of snow, but again, not a lot. -8 degrees in Saskatoon and Prince Albert, -10 in the Battlefords. On to our hot spot. That was Hudson Bay at -5. Coronach for a second day in a row is the cold spot. Yesterday at -22, today at -23. Around the province we go, starting off with the larger communities, -11 in Lloydminster, -12 in Swift Current, -10 in Estevan, and -8 in Regina and Yorkton. In central parts of the province, temperatures ranging from -7 degrees in Watrous down to -11, and that is in Nipawin and Hudson Bay. A lot of locations around that -8, -9 degree mark. Up north, well, temperatures do drop off. -14 right now in Stony Rapids, -11 in a number of locations, -9 in Sandy Bay, Island Falls, -10 in Buffalo Narrows. Down south, it's -10 in Elbow and Weyburn and Broadview and Carlisle, but it does warm up to -7. That's in Last Mountain, but the cold spot, not surprisingly, -16 in Coronach, -14 in East End of the Mountain, -13 in Maple Creek. So here's the computer modeling for the next 24 hours. As you can see, that area of purple sliding across Montana and clipping parts of southern Alberta and Saskatchewan. About 2 to 4 centimeters of snow expected with that system as it makes its way through. And then you can see that little impulse making its way through the area from, let's say, north of Prince Albert and down towards Saskatoon. So yes, adding up to a little something. So Cloudy skies for the northern part of the province. Temperatures of -12 or -13 degrees for most locations. A little warm, but only by a little bit for Meadow Lake and Spirit Wood, sitting at -11 for highs on Friday. Chances of some flurries and -8 degrees for Kindersley and Rosetown. Expecting more in the way of flurries for Maple Creek, Leader, Outlook, and Swift Current. With that system we saw, temperatures hanging around 8 degrees on the minus side. A similar temperature pattern for the southeast, although we only anticipate cloudy skies, no flurries for Yorkton and Estevan, some flurries for Regina and Moose Jaw. And again, it could be 2 to 4 centimeters of snow expected for Melfort, Watrous, Humboldt, and Hudson Bay, with temperatures in and around the 8-degree mark for east central Saskatchewan on Friday. 2 to 4 centimeters of snow overnight for the Battlefords, -12 degrees, then -9 tomorrow with cloudy skies. A cold weekend in store, temperatures of -12 on Saturday and Sunday. Starting off your work week at -9, -8 on Tuesday, but really dropping off on Wednesday, bouncing back on Thursday. Prince Albert, -12 degrees, chance of some snow overnight, 2 degrees, or 2 centimeters of snow overnight, and then we've got ourselves, or into tomorrow, so ultimately about 6 centimeters of snow, -12 degrees on Saturday, Sunday -13, and not really warming up much until we get to next Thursday, and look at that dip on Friday, -17 degrees, youch. And Saskatoon, partly cloudy skies, some fog patches showing up tonight, -11 the overnight temperature, -8 with about 2 centimeters of snow expected on Friday. And then as we make our way into Saturday and Sunday, -12 degrees, bouncing back a little bit to closer to seasonal numbers, but then dropping off on Wednesday. Look at that, -14. Ouch. Friday night at the Basement, Tucker Lane presents Women Unplugged. Showtime is 8:30.
De toute façon, son Alex, moi je l'ai jamais trusté. C'est pas vrai ça. Tu as déjà même eu un œil dessus.
The Canadian classic Albertine en 5 temps is the current show from La Troupe du Jour. It's performed with English surtitles and runs until December 7th at Studio 914. The new holiday tradition, Glow, returns to Prairieland Park. This family-friendly holiday life festival runs until December 28th. The Romantics have 2 shows coming up at the Basement. Saturday night is sold out, but tickets are still available for the band's Sunday matinee. St. Joseph High School presents the Broadway musical Newsies. It plays nightly at 7:30 until Saturday.
There's a warm breeze blowing through the pines tonight.
Sunday afternoon at 2:30, Larry Krause brings A Timberline Christmas to the United Church in Watson. Also on the bill, cowboy poet John Tilley. Call 306-287-7130 for tickets.
I haven't decided yet.
An obsessed baker, a giant gingerbread man, and lots of laughs is what Dancing Sky Theatre promises with Frankenpanto. The theatre's annual holiday pantomime runs from December 5th to 21st.
All right, Jeff, time for Pick of the Day, and you've got some extra special ones today.
We do indeed. We're going to start off with these images. We talked about all the rime ice out there, and this one comes to, we had a few submissions, but this one comes to us from Jeff Bick. Beautiful fog Wednesday night, trees still frosty from the day before, but a nice shot there. I really like that. The pathway's all lit up. So thank you, Jeff. Next one from Cynthia. Hi, Jeff. I took this photo at Wanuskewin on Monday. I think the clouds were amazing. Alto cumulus clouds, I think. And I think you're right. I checked them out, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly right, Cynthia. So thank you for that image from Wanuskewin. And finally, this one comes to us from Jason. I've got a long message here. Hi, Jeff. On Saturday, November 22nd, our family had a party celebrating the 70th anniversary of my mom and dad, Frank and Marie Sherrick. They showed up to the party wearing their original wedding outfits from that day in 1955. Mom says the dress still fits without any alterations. What a great shot there. And Jason Patterson adds Dad was known for his senior men's curling championship, national championship, and inducted him into the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. So if you recognize that last name and associated with curling, there's the man himself. What a great couple, and wonderful to see them in their original wedding outfits. Well, if you'd like to share an image with us, you can do so by sending it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca or scan the QR code on the screen and send us those photos.
Still to come on CTV News, a ducky duo heads north. How one American couple is hoping to make a splash in Canada with its rubbery retail business. Donald Trump's trade war has some businesses looking to relocate south of the border. It's had the opposite effect on one American couple. When tariffs ruffled their feathers, they decided to fly north to a coastal BC town. CTV's Shannon Patterson has more.
Neil King is getting his ducks in a row as he and his wife prepare to open their new business at Tsawwassen Mills Mall.
This all came from the idea that we needed an attraction to bring people into Point Roberts after COVID.
The American couple opened the Rubber Duck Museum in the back of their Point Roberts gift shop in July 2024.
The first day it was open, we had lines going out the door. We were immediately getting calls from places like Roadside America and other small travel publications. We did, I think, CNN travel. It was really exciting.
It was going swimmingly until Donald Trump was elected.
The second he was elected and those 51st state comments started coming out, we got flooded with emails from our Canadian visitors, our tourists, our regulars, just saying, I am so sorry, I'm not coming down for the next 4 years.
Not only were fewer Canadians crossing the border to visit the Rubber Duck Museum in Point Roberts, the business was being clobbered by President Trump's ever-changing tariffs on Chinese imports.
Pretty much overnight, our entire business became unsustainable. We couldn't get anything for any price point that made sense. And we just put so much into this. You know, it was a sink or swim moment.
It actually became a no-brainer to come to Canada. Like, we love Canada. That's why we moved to Point Roberts to begin with. Canada aligns more with our values.
The new Rubber Duck Museum will open in Tsawwassen Mills next Monday.
We are going to have close to 4,000 to 5,000 different kind of ducks and various duck products such as bath bombs and soaps and, you know, little ducky cards and anything rubber duck related we are trying to bring in.
This one is from the 50s from Sunco.
There's also a collection of rare and antique rubber ducks on display that tell the story of the iconic toy.
We have some of them that we got directly from Sesame Street Workshop. We have 2 rubber ducks that have been used on screen by Ernie.
The Kings are betting it all on British Columbians embracing the first rubber duck store in Western Canada.
Our hope is that the store just brings that joy and wonder to Tsawwassen and Canada. We really want to make sure that this just keeps living on.
And if they can make a living at it too, well, that's just ducky. Shannon Patterson, CTV News, Tsawwassen.
When we come back, another member of the Huskies furthers his football career. And later, some of the best in the rodeo circuit make a stop in Saskatchewan.
Welcome back. And now it's time to take a look at our rural forecast for Friday. And we've got ourselves some temperatures that are in the minus double digits. That's not a surprise. We had anticipated that. We do expect a little bit of snow flurry activity, Kindersley and Outlook and Watrous and Melfort, Hudson Bay, and I believe, oh yeah, I'll get out of the way, Wynyard, yeah, Wynyard too. But again, as I mentioned, maybe 2 to 4 centimeters of snow. We don't expect a big dump of snow from this system as it makes its way across Saskatchewan. And that includes southern Saskatchewan, a different part of the system. And certainly impacting more locations. As I said, the southwestern part of the province may see much more of the snowfall accumulation than, let's say, south central Saskatchewan. But temperatures in southern Saskatchewan pretty much seasonal. You know, maybe a little cooler, in particular Maple Creek at -9 degrees, and maybe again a little cooler in some of those areas. They're just a couple of points below seasonal. So all in all, not such a bad day shaping up on Friday in many parts of our province, and that includes Blaine Lake. Expecting some flurries in the area. -8 degrees for a daytime high. The situation, the wind shifts around a little bit. Maybe 2 centimeters of snow, and all is said and done. And just a reminder that on Friday, the 5th of December, it is the big Christmas event in Blaine Lake. There's going to be tree lighting and fireworks and lots of things going on. So that's coming up on Friday, December 5th. And Blaine Lake is one of those places where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
Another U of S Husky has been signed by the Riders. Receiver Daniel Wiebe, who was selected in the 8th round of the CFL draft, has signed a contract with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Wiebe was this year's Canada West Conference Player of the Year and a finalist for the Heck Creighton Trophy. This season, Wiebe earned his second straight first-team All-Canadian selection after hauling in 78 receptions for 1,257 yards and scoring 13 touchdowns. Wiebe also set new program records for single season and career receiving touchdowns. It's not just a Saskatchewan first, it's new to Canada as well. The successful drilling of a natural hydrogen well was recently completed near Central Butte. Jacob Carr has more on what this milestone means for renewable energy in the province.
Another renewable energy source could soon be coming to the forefront in Canada. Near the beginning of November, Max Power Mining Corporation successfully drilled Canada's first dedicated natural hydrogen well near Central Butte. The company's incoming CEO says energy is like a buffet, with every sector playing its part.
You need nuclear, you need coal, you need gas, you need hydro, you need wind. If you look at recently, the power consumption is getting higher and higher. It's not lower. By 2050, the world population is going to be 9 billion people.
Steve Halliburton, the chief geoscientist with Max Power, has been an exploratory geologist for over 40 years. Part of what drew him to the company was a new resource to learn about.
Part of it is the intellectual challenge. It's a bit like a chess game. Exploration is a process. The Earth does not give up its resources easily.
Halliburton admits that there will be challenges as natural hydrogen is new territory for the Max Power team, but he is looking forward to that challenge.
It's a way of giving back to the province. If I can play some role in developing a new resource industry, then man, I can't think of anything better to give back to the province.
Narayana Sami says the use of natural hydrogen to supply data centers could save a large amount of energy and water.
Imagine if we can able to find a natural hydrogen and we use the natural hydrogen for supplying to the data centers, which is empowered by artificial intelligence. It's going to be a big win for all of us.
According to Halliburton, the Max Power team has at least 6 concept sites to test for natural hydrogen in the near future. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
Turning to local gas prices now, the average price in Saskatoon currently just over $1.27 a litre. The lowest price in town, $1.149. On Saskatchewan markets, Cameco finished the day at $124.72, and Nutrien was up 12 cents. Coming up, some of the best athletes on horses roll into Saskatchewan for the rodeo. The U.S. Thanksgiving tradition takes to the streets for another year.
Select Hair Services brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
The best rodeo talent from across Western and Central Canada are in Regina for the Maple Leaf Circuit Finals. The event features the top 10 athletes in each major CPRA rodeo event. Riders earn their spots throughout the season by collecting points at Maple Leaf Circuit rodeos across Western and Central Canada. This year's prize payout is nearly $220,000, making it one of the largest in Canada. Winners also earn the chance to compete at the NFR Open. The event also saw the crowning of the new Miss Rodeo Agribition for 2026. Shyla Sitter takes over from Abby Hardy. The rodeo runs through until Saturday.
Yeehaw!
All right, well, we know Americans are gathering today to celebrate Thanksgiving, and for many, a big part of the holiday is watching the annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Thousands line the streets of New York City to take in the event, which features super-sized creations like a Lego float and massive balloons of iconic characters like Spider-Man. A star-studded lineup of performers included several familiar faces from Broadway, as well as the Radio City Rockettes. But the most important guest, of course, Santa Claus, the final act, as he ushered in the Christmas season. It's always fun to watch, right?
Well, I caught some of it. I will say one of my favorite parts of the broadcast was a commercial for a credit card company featuring John Travolta as Santa Claus doing greased lightning from Greece. It was very funny. It's good. It's good.
Do you have time to watch the parade during work?
Oh, well,
I wish.
The parade is on before you and I get to work. It's already over by the time we're supposed to be at work.
So you're up really early then.
Yeah, because it was
I thought you were watching it on rewind. So, all right, not so much.
Not so much, not so much. Hey, just if I've got time, St. Andrew's Presbyterian is having a tea and bake sale on Saturday between 2 and 4, and the money is going to the church building fund. So that's St. Andrew's on Spadina. So that's coming up on Saturday between 2 and 4.
And people will need some hot tea to keep warm.
To warm up a little bit. You betcha.
All right, that is our show. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.